He has spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
There is almost nothing as frustrating as getting the brochure. Maybe it's for a vacation, maybe it's for a new car, maybe it's for a book or a product or a service, and you get delivery of this thing, like my Temu wagon. It's supposed to hold 650 pounds, and it arrives in a box smaller than a pizza box. That missed expectation is horrible. The feeling that comes along with what I thought I was going to get and what I really got were terrible. And it all starts with the vision, the brochure, the future cast. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode of Leading Leaders. Stay tuned.
To our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at StoryPowerAcademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training. Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at StoryPowerAcademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training. Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I just want to help you recall what that moment is like when the expectation is set up and the delivery is something else. I'm not exaggerating at all. There are pictures of it on my social media. We ordered this wagon. Now, one of our girls has the Wonder Wagon. I mean, the legitimate $1,500 baby stroller. Oh my gosh. But yes, it holds up to 500 pounds. You can put 2 moderately sized grown adults in this wagon with their own little seats. And if they're short enough, they've even got leg room. But you can easily put 4 toddlers in it. And you can put a canopy on top. And there's luggage racks underneath and attachments for the front and the back. It is an incredible baby stroller. Until they're like 10. You can accommodate a lot. And I've seen a lot of photographers, videographers, other people come to events, and all of their equipment is loaded in one of these Wonder Wagons. Because when you're done, it collapses back down and you can stick it in the trunk of the car really easily. And when I saw the one on Temu, and I thought, I could have my own Wonder Wagon. Now, this one isn't quite as big. It's not quite as rated. But when it arrived, and some assembly was required, and the wheels were smaller than a skateboard, and the whole thing fit in a box smaller than a pizza, I was a little disappointed. I got the wagon out, and my daughter-in-law, who's a very tiny adult human, got in that wagon, and we pulled her around the room, and she hung out of every side, and she's a very small adult human. The wagon was not what it was cracked out to be. There was zero relationship between what I thought I was getting and what I actually got. Now, why do you care about that as a leader? Well, because vision is your responsibility. And by vision, what I mean is your ability to paint the picture that's seen on the outside of the brochure, on the sales page, on the landing page. I mean, there's somebody at Temu who's laughing at the fact that I really thought I was going to get a Wonder Wagon for the price of what I paid on Temu. If you've ordered anything from Temu, you understand the game. I mean, the whole thing is a game. It's a gamification. You're going to win this drawing and get 97% off. No, you're going to get 97% less product than you thought you were ordering. That's the game. That's how it works. But somebody at that organization knew when they wrote that description, when they put that picture out there, that what they were offering, what they were promising, and what they were delivering had nothing to do with each other. Now, if you're a leader You're going to make plans for anything from your relationship to your academic career, from your life as an overall journey to the blueprints for your house, the schematics for the new device that you're going to build. You're going to write out some kind of plan that has at its final destination the image of the final product, the final result, the end game, so that someone who is investing or joining you on this journey or participating in this process can say, I understand my place, I know my role, I know what I need to do, I know where I'm supposed to contribute to the success of this. Now, the challenge for many of us is we get underway without having any, we're a lot more like Columbus, kind of sailing around through the ocean blue, thinking he knows where he's going. He thought he was going to the Indies. No, not so much. That's not where he ended up. He ended up someplace else. He charted a course and went the wrong direction. A lot of people do that in their business, in their leadership, even in their own personal growth plan. They have no plan for growth. They just think that it'll happen naturally. I love the way John Maxwell says it. If wisdom came with age, we wouldn't know so many old fools. That's a really good point. It's a sad point. But there are a whole lot of people, and we see a lot of them today. They're entitled, and their entitlement, their own internal, I should get, I have my rights, I know my rights. This is the best one. I love watching Officer Slope on Fridays with Frank. And he says, Deputy Slope, excuse me. He says often, I am on the mountain of right, and you are so deep in the valley of wrong you don't even recognize it. He also talks about this entitled generation. People who say, I know my rights. I will call my attorney. I will sue you to the end of the earth. What is your name and badge number? And he's like, these people have U2 law degrees, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Well, that's a scary thing. But many people have jumped into business, into career, into life. I have friends, I have past clients, I have current clients who look at their place in life right now and they say, if I'd planned better 10 years ago, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. If I'd planned better 10 years ago, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. Ask yourself if that's true. And this is not an insult. This is not a dig on your intelligence or your plan. It's an opportunity for you to be a little more self-aware. If you ask honestly, am I where I thought I'd be 10 years ago? Maybe you surprise yourself and you're like, wow, 10 years ago I had no idea I could accomplish as much as I have. Maybe you look at it and go, if I knew then what I know now, I would not have gone down this path at all. Or if I'd had a plan. Now, this is my honest answer. I have evolved, for lack of a better term. I've grown. I hope it's obvious to those who've been around me all this time, but I've grown emotionally, intelligently, intellectually, educationally, and strategically. I've made very intentional changes in my life to redirect the course of our business and our life and the things that we do. Even what we offer, what we market, what we advertise, what we tell people to expect when they engage in a relationship with us. Whether it's Leading Leaders Podcast or Story Power TV or Story Power Academy. Whatever way you come into our sphere of influence, my intention for you is different than it was 36 months ago. I want to ask you if you as a leader can say the same thing. And if that's the case, then was it intentional? Did you stop at some moment and go, okay, this is not the destination that the brochure promised. I am not where I thought I would be. I'm not delivering to my family, to my friends, to my customers, to my clients, to my boss, to my stakeholders, to my shareholders. I'm not delivering to them what I thought I was going to deliver. So let me remind you that as the leader, vision is your responsibility. If you didn't watch yesterday's podcast, I'm going to challenge you to go back and do that and understand the difference between the picture on the outside of the puzzle box, the picture on the outside of the pattern envelope, and the end result. There's a whole lot of moving parts and pieces in the process, from taking a bolt of fabric to a nice pantsuit. There are a whole lot of moving pieces. There are a whole lot of little stories and elements that make that to happen. Watch yesterday's podcast to understand what I'm talking about. But right now, what I really want to challenge you to understand is that as the leader, that picture on the outside of the puzzle box, that's your job. You have to draw that picture. And it has to be clear enough that people can see it, that they don't just look at the puzzle box and go, oh, cool, a mountain scene. Which mountains? What details? How will I know when I get there? How will I know that I've arrived in the place that was my intended destiny? If I look at the details on the outside of the puzzle box and it looks more like a Pollock. If I can't figure out what it is that I'm looking at, what good is it? How will I know that I got there? Well, your job as the leader of the organization, of the nonprofit, of your own life, as the leader in a relationship, your job is to paint the picture of what that future will look like when you get there. Now, on Story Power Academy, there's actually a 2-hour course. It's called Insuperable Vision. If you haven't done that, it's cheap. I mean, it's beyond affordable. You can do it yourself. I won't even argue with you if you do it and then do it with your whole team. I had a regional VP that went through the course and then he's like, holy cow, that is so good. I'm going to have everybody on my team go through the same thing. Fine. I want the results for you more than I'm worried about whether or not it's enormously profitable. It is a great investment in you at any stage in your business or your life to understand the vision that you have for your organization. But let me give you the acrostic really quick so that we can get an idea what the picture on the outside of the puzzle box looks like. Here's the acrostic. I think that's the right word for it. It's not an acronym. Acrostic is the right word. It's vision. V-I-S-I-O-N. That's hard. It's amazing, right? How could I ever come up with that? Let me give you what it means. Vivid. So your first word in the acrostic vision is vivid. It's got to be a picture that, again, it doesn't look like some impressionist art piece. It looks like something that if you're looking at that mountain scene and there's that nice, beautiful pond and it's as smooth as glass, there's no wind, no ripples, nothing. You could read a book in the reflection of this glass. And as you look at that pond, in this picture of this mountain scene, you don't just see the reflection of the mountains or the sun in the sky or even a few clouds floating by. You can see the details so clearly that you can see the eagle on the limb staring into the reflection, watching for fish. When your picture is that detailed, it's that vivid, it begins to provoke an emotion in people. People feel what it would feel like to be in that scene, to be in that moment. They long for that. And as you draw that picture, each of those tiny little details, is there a red rowboat sitting on the edge of the lake, waiting for someone to jump in? Is there, right behind that red rowboat, about halfway up that little grassy meadow before you get to the rocks of the mountains, is there a picnic blanket? See, these are the details that you, as the leader, you get to add. You are expected to create this vivid imagery so someone sees themselves in that picture and they're like, oh yeah, the picnic beside the lake in the grassy meadow, staring at the mountains and listening to the eagle scream. That would be a perfect moment for me. When you've crafted a picture that vivid, the I comes in. Inspiration. Vivid inspiration. Well, what is an inspiration? It's when that in you says, I want to be a part of that. I see you feeding 5,000 kids in Uganda. I see you building an empire in Los Angeles. I see you starting a new sports franchise. I see you building up an organization that's never existed in that way before. I see you launching rockets into space, Mr. Musk. I see your plan coming to place, and I am inspired by it. I'm motivated either to join it or compete with it or to mimic it the best way that I can, but I'm moved by this vivid imagery. Now, if you have a vivid inspiration, S is the next word, and the next letter in vision, and I want to encourage you, I want to push you to not just do something that makes a lot of money. Great if you do. In fact, I hope that you do. I want you to make a lot of money so you can carry this vision out. But more than that, I want you to have significance. I want you to impact people around you. I want people around you to get on board. I want you to picture it like this. Think of Wile E. Coyote when he's chasing the Roadrunner and he makes the hole in the highway bridge. And his expectation is that he's going to run by there and the roadrunner is going to fall through it, and that's how he's going to catch him. And as the roadrunner runs by and then the coyote runs by, for whatever reason, wherever they came from, there's these flutter of papers that just follow the coyote, and they demonstrate the movement and the influence that he has on everything around him as he falls through the hole. Where did those papers come from? I don't know. But I do know that that movement, the wind of his motion, his effort getting where he's going, is creating a disturbance, a stir, a movement behind him. That's significance. That's leaving a ripple, leaving a wake behind you because your momentum is so intense. Vivid, inspiration, significantly influencing. What does it mean to influence? John Maxwell says, if you think you're a leader and nobody's following you, you're just taking a walk. It's only lonely at the top if you're doing it wrong. Those are pretty powerful statements. They're pretty valid statements in many cases as well. But we live in an attention economy, and there are a lot of people who believe that influence is attention, that if everybody's looking that you win. And while, again, I don't disagree with Grant Cardone, he's made a lot more money than I have. It's better to be best known than to be best. Yeah, but if you're not even good, who cares how much they know you? That's called infamous, not famous. If a lot of people know you, but they know you for bad things, what good is that? Influence, on the other hand, is when you draw people, push people, motivate people, inspire people to become better, to do better, to contribute more, to grow themselves, to focus on their own personal growth plan. When your vivid imagery inspires them with significance and it influences them to do on their own or to participate along with you. Now, the real turn of this vision statement, in my opinion, is that when we move out of that selfishness of how do I create a vivid, inspiring image that significantly influences others. All of that is good, and all of that so far is about me and my legacy and my accomplishment and what I'm going to do. But significantly influencing what? The last two of these, that's kind of the turn. It's kind of my twist on the whole thing, and that is significantly influencing, O is others, and N is nobility. And here's what I mean by that in a nutshell. When you've crafted a vivid image of what that end destination is going to look like, that beautiful mountain scene, the reflective pond, lake, whatever you want to call it, the red rowboat, the picnic blanket in the grassy meadow, the eagle hunting from the treetops, waiting to scream his way into the water and snatch a fish for lunch. When you've painted that vivid image and you've inspired others to go, I want to be right there on that blanket. I want to be a part of what you're doing. I feel this. I'm moved by this. That significant impact that you're going to have in their life causes them to do something. You have influenced them to change their life, to change their investments, to change their behavior, to change their education, to get moving. If it's not about them being better in the end, you may have made a lot of money. You may have left a great impression. You may have built your own fiefdom. Good on you. But if you find that you've done that, like the Wolf of Wall Street, at the expense of everyone else who believed in you, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, you failed. You failed. If you built an empire that makes you look great and destroys others, you've basically done in the lives of people who have invested in you, whether it's the time they've invested with you, the money that they've invested to participate, whether they cashed out a 401k to join your plan and bring their career and their education to influence your completion, or they've just said, hey, I believe in you. I'm going to stand behind you. I'm going to tell others about you. I'm going to be an evangelist for your cause. When they come into that vision and they get Timu'd, what they thought you were going to deliver and what they actually got, two totally different things. The who that they thought they'd become on this journey with you and the who they actually became, two totally different things. When the end game is not what you promised in the picture, then you have not significantly influenced others' nobility. You've done it at your own gain and their expense, and that's not good. So you're going to have to ask yourself, what does significantly influencing others' nobility, leading them to that place where people around them look at them and go, wow, what a journey you've been on. I admire the journey you've been on. How did you do that? And they want to mimic and model the people that you have led because you've led them well, because you've taken them down a path that's identifiable that others would go, I want to go there. When you have done that and you've built people up and you've left them in a better place than you found them, then you are the kind of leader that people want to follow. Now here's the hard part. That begins with you drawing a picture that inspires and motivates you. With you crafting an image of what tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years is going to look like, so people can look at you and go, yeah, I see you doing that. And I want to be part of it. And because I see it and I feel it and I want to be a part of it, I want to bring everybody I care about into that same plan because, wow, that looks like an awesome place to be. Have you ever looked at the brochure to, I don't know, go to Disney World, go on a cruise, visit the fjords of Norway, whatever it is, and you look at the brochure and you're just like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I remember John Maxwell talking about his wife planning a vacation for them to go to the fjords of Norway. And he's like, honestly, if you've seen one fjord, you've seen them all. They're basically a marsh or a swamp off of the edge of the water. And you get in a cruise ship and you go from one to the next and they're like, look, grass, water, trees. Wait, here's another one, grass, water, trees. Thank you. He said, I wrote great books sitting in my cabin on the cruise ship while my wife looked at the great grass and the water and the trees again and again and again. And I'm not saying it wasn't beautiful, it wasn't a great experience. I'm just saying I had a whole lot more fun in my cabin writing books. Look, if the people around you look at the brochure and they're like, that's exactly what I want, and you're like, I could take it or leave it, that's not going to inspire you to stay motivated. You're going to have to do it for another reason. But if the picture you put on the outside of that box, the picture you put on that brochure moves and motivates you, and it moves and it motivates others, and it draws them to move and motivate even others, you are going to significantly influence a lot of people. That picture, by the way, is also what I call the meta-narrative. That picture may be as simple as your brand statement for your organization, and maybe the blueprint of the entire organization, or again, the schematic for the device. It may be your academic plan. If you paint that picture and you're like, I see myself 16 years from now walking across that stage getting my doctorate's degree. Great. There's some execution things you have to do today. Here's an example. I remember a young man saying one day, I'm going to be a judge. Incredible. That's a great forward-looking statement. That's a big thing to accomplish. There's a lot of steps in getting to be a judge, but by the time he was 22, he had 17 arrests on his records, and 4 of those were felonies. I'm sorry, it's unlikely judge is in your future because the decisions you've made today have derailed the future you had planned for. See, part of the reason we draw the picture is that we're creating the meta-narrative. I actually had my wife send me a quote this morning because I heard it on a video that I was watching with Chase Hughes. Chase Hughes is a former CIA guy. He does a lot of mental work, kind of wrote the book on persuasion and interrogations, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a 900-page manual. He runs an organization called NCI University. If you haven't studied Chase Hughes, I challenge you to do that. Here was his quote from the video that I watched this morning. He said, quote, "A vivid, imagined future can influence identity more strongly than a vague memory." Let me say that again. A vivid, imagined future can influence identity more strongly than a vague memory. Now, if you've ever lived through a season in your life that you look back on and you're like, well, I think that trauma or that experience or that big win, we all know people who, they were the high school Super Bowl champion. They won state. And because they won state when they were in high school, the whole world's supposed to bow down to them. And 2 years after high school, they can't even stick it out in college for academic problems or behavioral problems or attitudinal problems. And that what was once their greatest success is now a vague memory. And it's not driving their identity anymore as much as they wanted to. But their vision of the future, that's what's going to drive it. As the leader, drawing the picture on the outside of that box that will cause others to gather around and participate in it, that's your job. Drawing that vivid picture so clear that people look at it and go, I want to spend the rest of my life sitting on that blanket in that grassy meadow next to that lake in the mountains watching the eagle hunt. That's where I want to be. What do I have to do to get there? That's like saying I want to be the judge, I want to be the doctor, I want to be the president. Great. There are things that you're going to have to say no to starting tomorrow for that to be true. And there are things that you're going to have to do that, frankly, they're going to suck if that's the future you want. You're going to have to make some sacrifices, make some tough decisions, tell some hard stories, acknowledge some hard truths, be aware of things that, man, I wish that wasn't true, but it is. If you're going to reach the goals that you have established, if you're going to look at the picture on the outside of the box and go, that's where we're going, and people are going to join you on that journey, your ability to get them there begins with what do you say yes to and what do you say no to? What is your identity? Who am I trying to become? Who do I want to be in the future? Well, you're going to have a better chance of succeeding at that if you have a vivid image of the future than you are if you're dealing with the vague memories of the past. Many years ago, we were driving down the highway and I saw a for sale sign kind of stuck out by the highway in the woods, if you will. You couldn't really see anything except the white panel fence and the sign. And I passed it at highway speed. Everybody else in the car was asleep. We're almost back home from a long road trip, and something told me, go back and look. And I was like, everybody's asleep. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going back. And something just said, go back. So I found the nearest U-turn. I turn around and go back. I pull up where the sign is, and I realize there's a very long driveway that kind of winds off into the woods. A little nervous because driving on a people's property in the country, they're Second Amendment people with castle doctrines. So you got to think twice about that. But I slowly pulled up the road. The driveway turned into a very long driveway. And as I get to the top of the hill, I realize there's a little lake on the left and there's a barn on the right. And from where I'm at, that's all I can see. And I kind of looked at it and I'm like, I don't have any horses. I don't have any farm equipment. This is not the place for me. But I also realized on my big Ford Excursion, I'm kind of stuck because I can't back down this very narrow driveway past the lake. I need to find a place to turn around. So I kind of wiggle my way through the trees and look for a clearing to make a turnaround. And as I come into the clearing and make the next stop, everybody in the car wakes up. And we are facing this enormous log cabin with a wraparound porch, 3-story log cabin. You cannot even see it from the highway. And I'm just sitting there staring at it. And one of my kids from the back goes, Dad, that's Birmingham. We've talked for years about building a thing that we affectionately call the chateau. It's kind of the Story Power Academy, but in a physical brick and mortar type of a venue where people would actually come in for learning and retreats, and they would have a place to stay, and we would build up young people to be visionaries and leaders and empower them with the personal growth plan that would actually make them competent at leading in that way. And I think everybody in the car got emotional. And as we were sitting there, the old man came out and, and I said, is that part of what's for sale? And he said, yeah, it's 13.5 acres and there's several outbuildings and some farmland, and we were raising all these kinds of livestock, and I built the cabin myself by hand. And he let us go inside. It had a beautiful wraparound loft in the 3rd-story attic where they actually were using it for a bunkhouse and a classroom. Who knew? They were doing exactly what we had dreamed of one day doing. And he told me the price for the property, and I about fell over. Now, today, to be honest with you, you can't buy a 3,000 square foot house in a neighborhood with 12 feet of space for the price that he wanted for that land. But back then, that number terrified me. Back then, I walked away from that vision as clearly as it was articulated in the many times that we discussed it with our family and our friends and said, one day we're going to do this. And here it was, the land, the space, the house, exactly the way we envisioned it. The outside of the puzzle box was staring me in the face in reality, and I wasn't emotionally, financially, intellectually in a place to execute. Oh, I had the vision. I had the inspiration. I had a lot of people around me going, that would be incredible. When you started, I want to be a part of it. I had the opportunity. But as John Maxwell says, luck often waits at the intersection of opportunity and preparedness. And opportunity came, and I wasn't prepared. And we don't own that property, and we never went back to see it again. We've talked about it often. We've dreamed of it often. We still get emotional when we think about it. And we wonder if we'd done that. That was about 2014. If we'd done that 10 years ago, where would we be now? I don't know the answer to that question. I do know this. I do not want to be in a place where that opportunity stares me in the face and I'm not prepared again. And I'm challenging you to write out that vision, to draw that picture so clearly in your head that you can vividly describe it to others, because, as Chase Hughes says, a vivid imagined future can influence identity more strongly than a vague memory. Let's forget about the things that you've done in the past, the greatest successes and the greatest failures, and let's look instead to what the future is. I would love to hear you paint the picture of what the best tomorrow could be, in such an ideal scenario that everybody around you wants to be a part of it, and it makes their life better for having done so. That's my challenge to you as leaders. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at storypoweracademy.com for leadership development.